Alright, today I'm going to show you how to use StatCrunch in my stat lab. So right now we are in Chapter 2 homework and we are looking at question number 19. So the table below shows prices of 50 college textbooks in a community college bookstore rounded to the nearest dollar. Make an appropriate graph of the distribution of data and describe the distribution. So first off, they give us these three histograms we can take a look at. So before I even start the problem, I'm just going to take a quick peek at each of these, kind of look at their general shape a little bit. Okay, cool. Now, I'm going to stop on this one for just a second. If I look at this one, the key thing to note here is, well, what's the width of each of these bars? So, I noticed that if I want to get from 30 to 60, well, I have one full bar here, and it takes me half a bar here, a full bar, and another half bar. So it takes me two full bars to get from 30 to 60, which means that each bar must be 15 wide. Okay. The other thing I need to note is that I don't start at 0, right? So it looks like this guy starts somewhere else. So if I backtrack, knowing that these are width 15, I know that, well, I need to go back half of one. So that would be about 7.5, and then another 15 away from 30. So it looks like I started about 7.5 and then increase with a width of 15. So let's just keep that in mind. So now that we have that in our mind, why don't we go ahead and open StatCrunch. Remember, to do that, you need to hit this little box here up in the right-hand corner of the data set. Open in StatCrunch. Okay, this will take just a second. And this is so nice. Look how it uploads our data for us. Now, if we want to create a histogram, what we want to do is that we want to graph something. So we're going to go graph, histogram. And before we do anything else, we need to make sure that we select the variable that we want in our histogram. We want variable 1, so it'll show up here. Alright, we're going to skip the where and group by information, and we're also going to skip this frequency. However, if we wanted our histogram, instead of showing us the number or the frequency, we want it to show us the percentages, we would go to relative frequency. Since these graphs have just frequency and not the percentage or relative frequency, we're just going to keep this as is. Alright, now remember, if I look at these graphs that are provided to me in the solutions, they all have bin width 15 and they all start at 7.5. So no matter which ones I look at, they all start and have the same bin width. Alright, so here, to make sure that my graph lines up with these graphs, I want it to start at 7.5, and I want it to have a bin width of 15. Alright, overlay distribution, nope, we'll just leave that the way it is. We don't really care about any of these other things. We might care about them later, but for right now, we'll just leave all those blank. Now we are ready to hit compute. Alright, so now we have this awesome histogram graph. Well, if I go back, this looks the most like this graph, doesn't it? It looks a little bit different. Notice that their top scale goes all the way to 14. Ours only goes to 12, but if we look, that matches up with the information we see in the graph. Also know that the x-axis on this graph versus this graph has a slightly different scaling. This one goes by 20s, this one goes by 30s, but you can see that the shape of these two is the same. Another neat thing that I accidentally just showed you is that if you click on any of these bars, it'll highlight where it is in the data, which is pretty neat. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and close this out. By the way, anytime you hit an X and you close something out, StatCrunch automatically saves it up here. So let's say that I closed it, but I wanted to look at it again because I like it so much. I can click on StatCrunch, go to Results, click on this guy, and it'll bring that back up again. Alright, great. Now the reason it's so important that we make sure that we get the width and the starting place correct on these guys is, let's say that I just asked StatCrunch to do its own thing. So I said, hey, StatCrunch, why don't you just give me the best histogram you can? So you just do your own thing. Notice when I do that, this histogram looks much different than this one. So it's using the same information, but the width of the boxes are 20, whereas here they're 15. That's going to give you a different looking histogram, which might change your answer. So just be sure that you are using the correct width and starting point when you're choosing a histogram in My Stat Lab.